The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided that the Nobel Peace Prize for 2009 is to be awarded to President Barack Obama for his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between peoples.
I am both surprised and deeply humbled by the decision of the Nobel Committee. Let me be clear, I do not view it as a recognition of my own accomplishments, but rather as an affirmation of American leadership on behalf of aspirations held by people in all nations.
Joining us now here in studio in New York is Senator Barbara Boxer of California. Senator, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me on this great day.
Yeah, well, I'm proud.
I'm proud too.
There were actually calls on the right today that the president should turn it down and not accept the Peace Prize. What do you make of that?
You know, I just want to say that all of this just astounds me. This is a wonderful day for our nation. And of all the quotes that I heard, I know we're focusing on some of the negative ones. I thought President Sarkozy of France had the best one, and I brought it with me. It's very short.
Okay.
He said, "The award marks America's return to the hearts of the people of the world." And that, to me, says it all. America's back, folks. I mean, we're back in the eyes of the world. We're leading again. And people are going to look to us as the beacon for hope. And it's been a long time in coming, and people should be so happy. And I really have to say, a couple of Republicans did step out and say some nice things, and I want to say that was John McCain was one of them, and Tim Pawlenty was one of them. And I want to say good for you, because this is a time for 5 minutes. We should just put aside all the differences and say, all right, this is good for our country, for our people.
On some of the policy issues that you work on, thinking, for example, about global warming, thinking about the practical impact of what Sarkozy said there, America returning to the hearts of the people of the world, does that give us more power in the world as well? If we are looked up to, respected, and in fact loved, does that help us get more of what we want in the world on the kinds of issues that you work on?
Well, no question, because there's hard power. We all know we have that. We've had that forever, you know, since World War I. But the soft power, and that's so important, Rachel, winning the hearts and minds of the people. It's what it's all about. You know, it's very difficult for Al-Qaeda to recruit people when they keep saying death to America, and the world's going, no, we like what President Obama is saying. We think we can work together. So, you know, I think it does make you more powerful. And that's why when I listened to Rush Limbaugh, well, I didn't really want to, but he made me.
Sorry.
Basically, what he's saying is very wimpy in a way, because he's just showing that he's very wimpy. Because it doesn't, I mean, someone who's strong can talk to the enemy, can look that person across the table and say, now listen to me. You know, what you're saying is wrong. Let's get to it. You can always use the fist. That's the easy part, especially when it isn't Rush Limbaugh's fist. He can send, you know, our beautiful men and women abroad, or he doesn't care if they do go abroad and fight wars. But I think that this president understands that's a last resort.
On the subject of how the right responded, and I know that's not the universe, but it is definitely the news of the day. And you note accurately that John McCain was very gracious. He said, congratulations, and Americans should be proud. Tim Pawlenty also said, congratulations is the right thing to say. The most prominent Republican today who really went out there on a limb, along with a lot of the talk show hosts and bloggers, was the most prominent nationally elected Republican. He's the head of the RNC, Michael Steele. He called it unfortunate and said that the president has no achievements that merit anything like this, let alone any sort of award. Does one of these two sides eventually win out in the Republican Party, do you think, or do they just coexist constantly?
What I think matters is the way the American people view this. And that's why I thought what you did at the beginning of the show was so important. And I think if the American people understand that this does make us stronger, this does mean that when we walk into a room with people who are our enemies, we might have a chance to avoid sending our young men and women to war. I think if the American people understand this, the Republicans will have no choice but to stand down. I couldn't believe what Michael Steele said today. You know, everything to him is more of the same. Politics as usual. They are angry about how the elections turned out. They're certainly looking to the next elections, where I'm up and a lot of other people are, to say to American people, enough. We've had 15 minutes with the Democrats. You know, they haven't cured all the problems that took 8 years to bring about, and that's what it is with Michael Steele. You never really get, it seems to me, honestly, a real, true, frank answer. It's all put through this sieve of the ugliness of the politics.
On the issue of climate change, which I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
It is likely that climate change is going, global warming, your legislation specifically, is going to be the next target of the same groups that we saw gear up with the tea parties and the town hall meetings and all of that stuff this summer. What's your strategy against that?
Well, our strategy, really, John Kerry and I and many members of the Senate who are working so very hard, especially the members of my committee, our strategy is to just keep building more and more of a coalition. We now see there are businesses who are quitting the Chamber of Commerce because they say the Chamber of Commerce doesn't understand that to do this, to put a price on carbon, is going to attract billions of dollars of capital and create green jobs, and will stop exporting $1 billion a day to people who don't like us very much for oil. And we're going to have jobs here. And we're going to lead the world in clean technology exports. And we keep building. We are now building coalitions with the evangelicals. They understand that the poor people in this nation and the poor people of the world are the ones who are going to suffer worse than all the rest of us. We'll all suffer if we face the ravages of global warming, but it'll be harder on the poor. They've gotten very involved in our coalition. We're excited about it. We really are. So that's our plan, to put together the broadest coalition that we can. Business, labor, evangelicals, the environmentalists, and frankly, the polls really look good on this. It doesn't mean that our opponents aren't going to try to change that, but right now people know clean energy jobs, that's the way of the future.
And clearly you're geared up for the fight and have thought a lot about this, which is information in its own terms. Senator Barbara Boxer of California, it's really nice for you to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.